with those war criminals. War criminals. Okay? We ended any association in 1999 with the Indonesian Special Forces, the Kopassus, the most murderous bunch of barbaric bastards. What's the difference with the IDF? They did it with machetes and machine guns. The IDF does it with two-ton bombs. Okay? Onto innocent men, women and children in highly built-up areas. They do it on purpose. It's not a fucking accident. Read their holy books. Their rabbis calling for slaughter. Hanukasha calling for slaughter. Ariel Sharon. They all call for the slaughter of the Palestinians. I'm going to do 4 years. I'll do it fucking proud. These criminal bastards. They're criminals. Absolute murdering criminals.
After being told he would serve 3 years in jail, O'Connell yelled out, "That's a holiday camp compared to Gaza."
That's why the State of Israel does these things. They know they can get away with murder, wait 6 months and do it all over again. Let it be on your head and your conscience. We need protesters down here outside Campbell Barracks day and night demanding an end to any association between the Australian Defence Force and the Israeli Defence Force. The Israeli Defence Force are the greatest mass murderers in freaking history, and they do it live on the television and no one gives a shit.
On maps, Perth, my stomping ground. I'll show you where Campbell Barracks is, where the Special Forces all hang out. And the nudie beach. This is Campbell Barracks here, it's where the SAS are. And I'll leave you with a bit of a video before I do the main video. Here's where I was standing when I mocked them and said, "Hey, how come you can't spot all the bright purple poppy fields? Isn't heroin and opium illegal?" And I've been arrested too, and I was still on bail, but I still went down there and stirred them up. So here I am outside Campbell Barracks. This is where they practice shooting people, and different little kill houses and where they practice all their stuff. And you'll see their big antenna. Leon Wend. This is where Leon Wend was putting in their encrypted radio communications. I wonder if they've taken them out. And they used to fly all the Black Hawks off the thing. And there's a nudist beach here, because I used to know a lot of them from the Swanbourne Beach Surf Life Serving Club. And of course, they all go down to and most people have no idea the amount of shit that goes on in here. Because it's sealed off from the public. They hide protected witnesses down here and do all sorts of shenanigans, hang out with South African ex-special forces, South African intelligence, drug trafficking, bank robberies. They all get up to me. They say, "Oh, well, let's stop now." Yeah, bullshit. Because they're very special. And here I am standing right next to this place here on the road, right here. This is the stunts I used to pull. This is when everyone was doing this stuff. There'd be 3 or 4 a week. Someone pull on a really funny stunt. Anyway, talk again, sir. Like real soon.
Here's the bell tower boy, Brendon O'Connell, reporting from Perth, Western Australia, at the front of our elite Special Forces base, Campbell Barracks, Perth, Western Australia, in the suburb of Swanbourne, just on the Indian Ocean coast. I want to know why there's no protests here. The IDF, the Israeli Defence Force and the Australian Defence Forces regularly exchange personnel. I was told by a serving member, not of the armed forces but of something else, that quote, the IDF were, quote, all over that base. This is also the place where Leon Wend, the Israeli dual national, born in Australia I believe, Jewish parents, are Orthodox, ultra-Orthodox lunatics in Israel. Absolutely, totally loyal to the State of Israel, a foreign country. Okay? He wrote code for the communication systems of Campbell Barracks, according to him. He also installed and wrote code for our Collins-class sub, which he said possessed Israeli-modified US systems. Now, the writer of Steel, Spies and Spin, the story of the Collins-class sub debacle, because it was billions of dollars in overruns, was written by Peter Yule. I emailed Peter Yule, and his reply was, to Israeli-modified weapons and sensor systems, pigs might fly. Well, someone better ask Leon Wend while he's spreading that around and why he's giving hours of video footage and photographs of the interior of that sub. Well, when Detective Colin Hush came to my house over 18 months ago, the Australian Federal Police visited Leon Wend's house. But let's not stop there. Let's also remember that Leon Wend installed the security system for the Sydney Rail Transit System with a variant, our lovely Israeli intelligence front company, which was intimately involved in the tube bombing on 7/7. Okay, are you getting it yet? Now, that's the other story. This is how it all ties in, and you wonder why I get fucking harassed? Hey? You think this is just about Stanley Kaiser? Anyway, the base over there, Alex Wilson, Friends of Palestine, all the left-wingers. The Indian Ocean's over there, and I know one thing's for sure. If a bunch of polar bears, gay penguins, or pregnant fur seals or whales beach themselves over there, okay, you'd all be down here in the thousands, all the left-wingers, all the ferals, all the tree huggers with their little dreadlocks and their bongs, they'd all be down here sucking on their bongs, screaming, weeping into the night, lamenting over the poor animals over there. Well, isn't it about time? What about the poor animals of Gaza and Palestine and the West Bank who are being slaughtered by religious fanatic nutcases over there in that pox-ridden state of Israel? Okay, what about them? You know, we all stuck our fists in the air and did a bit of a protest and we all went home and forgot about it. Well, let me tell you, that's why the state of Israel does these things. They know they can get away with murder, wait 6 months and do it all over again. Let it be on your head and your conscience. We need protesters down here outside Campbell Barracks day and night demanding an end to any association between the Australian Defence Force and the Israeli Defence Force. The Israeli Defence Force are the greatest mass murderers in freaking history, and they do it live on the television and no one gives a shit. There needs to be embargoes, just like they did with apartheid South Africa. Strict embargoes. In fact, I want the dismantling of the Israeli state. There's no right for it to exist. It's got no right whatsoever, any more than I've got a right to a Catholic state. The Palestinians have been living there for over 1,300 years in relative peace. And that's the way it's got to go back to pre-1948, pre-Theodore Herzl, pre-political Zionist movement, who looked towards Judaism as their foundation. Just remember the writers of communism: Marx, Hess, Engels, Moses Hess, who Marx called my communist rabbi. All hard-core Talmudists. They followed the Talmud and the word of the rabbis. The most racist, pornographic, disgusting hate literature ever written. And we're going to be going deep into that stuff. There's Campbell Barracks behind me. Where are the protests? Where? I tell you what, there better not be any Special Forces personnel on exchange in Israel, and they better not have taken part in any operations against the Gazans or any operations anywhere in occupied Palestine with those war criminals. War criminals. Okay? We ended any association in 1999 with the Indonesian Special Forces, the Kopassus, the most murderous bunch of barbaric bastards. What's the difference with the IDF? They did it with machetes and machine guns. The IDF does it with two-ton bombs. Okay? Onto innocent men, women and children in highly built-up areas. They do it on purpose. It's not a fucking accident. Read their holy books. Their rabbis calling for slaughter. Hannah Kasher calling for slaughter. Ariel Sharon. They all call for the slaughter of the Palestinians. I'm going to do 4 years. I'll do it fucking proud. To these criminal bastards. They're criminals. Absolute murdering criminals. Hiding behind the Holocaust. Oh, picking us. You know, we'll arrest you. Create a hate crime law. And they're already doing stuff now, trying to push, because they know race. They can't get that angle. So now they're pushing religion. They're going to push every new law they can. Well, we've got to fight them. Let's start with Campbell Barracks and an immediate cessation of all links with the Israeli Defence Force. Okay? You know? Because we know what? If a couple of gay penguins got beached up there, you'd all be down there in your hundreds crying and weeping. Who cares about human beings? Who cares about the Gazans, eh? So anyway, there's your inroads. Alex Wilson, Friends of Palestine. We'll look into it. We're going to get some people and get our special forces the hell away from Israel and make sure there are no official exchange programs. They'll do it anyway behind the scenes, guaranteed. Okay? But there you go. Campbell Barracks. Also, some of the people breaking into my fucking house. Okay? Well, you can go fuck yourself. Okay? I'm not going away. You're going to have to whack me or whatever you want to do. You're going to have to frame me for something, stick some drugs in my house. It's a bit hard, seeing as we're pretty committed Christians with a Russian Orthodox Christian chapel in there. So that's a bit difficult for you, isn't it? There's a lot of good people in that base. I'm telling you right now, family men, good, decent people doing work that needs to be done, however unfortunate. But there's also a very dark side to that base. And how many of them take time off, get leave and go and work for private security companies doing God knows what, dealing drugs, protecting drug lords, doing God knows what, okay? We've got to stop that. We've got to become more aware of what goes on that base. There's a lot of stuff goes on that base, okay? We've also got to look into our mighty worries with SAS. You must be colourblind, because over in Afghanistan, where 90% of the world's opium is grown, You seem to miss the bright purple poppy fields. 90% of the world's heroin, 60,000 NATO troops, but no one can stop it. Why? Because the mightiest, most highly technologically advanced armed forces in the world apparently are too scared of a few smelly Afghan warlords with AK-47s to wipe out the heroin. There would be no heroin trade on the planet today if they bothered to stop it. Why aren't they stopping it? I'll tell you why they're not stopping it. They're dealing it. Britain, Israel and the United States are the largest drug dealers on this planet. Israel in particular, is the biggest drug dealer on this planet. Okay? It's how they finance their little state. I managed to ambush Senator Chris Ellison, former Liberal Party, who was the head of Justice and Customs. He also oversaw the Australian Federal Police. They were having a drug summit over in Scarborough at a little hall there. And I went up to him and said, Senator, when are you going to stop calling for, locking them up for longer? Why aren't you locking up the people in the suits, the bankers and the money launderers? What about Burma? Okay? The whole government's involved in the drug trade. Britain, Israel, United States. It's well documented. Okay, it's not run by a few Italian gangsters and a few outlaw motorcycle gangs, run by businessmen and governments and special forces. We're going to start waking up to that. And I'll give you credit to Chris Ellison. He didn't say you're a lunatic. You know what he said? And I'll quote him directly. He said this. He said, "We lack the resources for such an operation."
Have you been taking photos of the barracks, mate?
No, I'm filming myself.
You got nothing on the barracks?
No, I'm filming me.
But can you see the barracks in the background?
I don't know. Is that a problem?
Yeah. Huge problem.
Well, Internet Amigos, we're working now. Just on this point, I can't find the other bit. I must have cut this short for some reason, but there's a whole other segment I did. Basically, I was very polite to them, but I said, you don't have any authority. All right, I'll film here, whatever I like. But call counterterrorism if you want. But I was a bit nervous thinking, oh shit, state counterterrorism, I'm out on bail in 2010. But when I left, I'm walking along the road and all the right side of my head was burning like he had sunstroke. Like if you've done landscape gardening or been in the sun a lot down the beach and you got sunstroke, headache. It was an entire burning sensation because they were firing one of their little microwave shit at me. Look, Campbell Barracks, they're a bunch of fucking fuckwits. There are some good guys there, the older guys generally. I used to know heaps of them for multiple reasons. The head doorman where I used to work, his dad was one of the main instructors. They'd bring all the Singaporean special forces in who were training. We'd drink Black Sambuca all night while working, I might add. They're all off their heads on meth. And it has improved, but the SAS, the Special Air Service in Perth, Western Australia, they are drug trafficking with South African special forces. They are robbing banks, standing over drug dealers. They still do it to this, no matter how much I know it's been cleaned up. It hasn't been fucking cleaned up. They're still running amok there. All right, someone might want to look into that. Anyway, we'll talk very soon. Just a bit of gossip. I know a lot about Perth, Western Australia. Anyone got any questions? I can tell you a lot about Perth, Western Australia, where all the sensitive points are. You give me a bell because, as it should be obvious, I have no loyalty to my country anymore. I mean, I can't believe that they actually thought they could fuck me over and there wouldn't be repercussions somewhere down the line. I mean, I don't know how they're thinking. I really don't know how they think. Other than it's just bureaucracy. No one gives a shit. I'm living it every second of every day. They're just trying to fuck the secretary down the hall. It's just bureaucracy. And that's what's going to kill us all, bureaucracy. And then they're going to say, you know what? This bureaucracy is killing us all. You know what we need? We need AI. That'll save us. Anyway, that's a bit of gossip for you. I've actually been reminiscing. Fuck, for the first time, I actually missed Perth, Western Australia. I haven't missed it. In fact, I've despised it for a long time. Couldn't give a shit. But, yeah, it was like, God, I grew up in paradise and I had no idea. Talk soon.
F. Scott Fitzgerald, quote, "The test of a first-rate intelligence is the ability to hold two opposing ideas in the mind at the same time and still retain the ability to function. One should, for example, be able to see that things are hopeless and yet be determined to make them otherwise. This philosophy fitted on to my early adult life when I saw the improbable, the implausible, often the impossible, come true."
What is our common bond truly? Freedom. Freedom. Without freedom, you can't be a Christian no matter what denomination you belong to. You can't be a Buddhist. You can't own a donut shop. You can't drive from here to Oregon. You can't be an American because that's what it's all about, and it's the only thing that it's all about. Nothing else. Nothing else. It's about freedom.